This is purpose of life. Welcome to this program, Purpose of Life. Out of the many programs we do, this program is very close to our heart because of purpose and life. I've always wondered, how do people choose their team? Have you ever thought about it? Choosing your team. You know, we go through a lot of manuals for choosing the right team members. If you look at an IT company or any company, every company has got a HR manual. Now, God also has got a HR manual. How does He choose people? Now, looking at the Bible, especially in the New Testament, Jesus had a very clear cut out role and plan, and in the short time He lived in the earth, He had to choose people. Now, let's talk about how Jesus chose people. And the level of task was pretty big, because He had to choose the right people, and with this right people, numbering 12, He gave them a huge responsibility. So in today's program, we're going to talk about the word calling. How does God choose people? And how do you and I qualify for His call? So joining me in the studios today, we have Reverend Rajan Chelladurai from the Victory School of Ministry. Rajan has traveled all across the world, speaks in conferences, has been training pastors, leaders, and Reverend Rajan comes from a good Bible background. So there's a lot to learn from Brother Rajan. And today, right now, he's in our studio. So let's straight away meet Brother Rajan and ask these fundamental practical questions. Brother Rajan, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Oh, always a joy to be here with you, Ashwin.
There's a lot of learning from you, especially as you travel a lot. We see a lot of things, and you have done this Victory School of Ministries almost in every state and across the world. You go and teach people. And I always wonder, Jesus in a short time of time living in the earth also had to teach people.
Right.
And He was against the time frame. And the fact that He had to choose 12 people, equip them, and then expect that they will go and change the whole world is, to me, a little bit tough. How do you see this whole perspective of Jesus choosing the right people? How do you really choose the right people? What's your take on that?
I think it shows us how great the plan of God is. We recognize, as human beings, we recognize our strengths, our weaknesses. Anybody can look at their past and say, oh, I did this, I shouldn't have done that. There's a lot of things we can dwell on that.
Right.
But God specializes in choosing people as they are, and then through His power, He changes them. He's not looking for us to be at a particular level before He will choose us. For example, if you look at any job opening, they will have a list of criteria, requirements. You have to be like 25 years old, and
a job description.
Yeah, so this should be their education.
It's very clear.
Yeah, but God doesn't do it that way. The Lord God chooses people out of His sovereign will, because He is God. He chooses anybody He wants. And all He's looking for is a willing heart. That is the key. And then what God does, He takes His unlimited power and His unlimited wisdom and changes the person inside out. He equips us with wisdom. He equips us with skill. It gives us favor. It's like all that God has, He gives to us, and then qualifies us so that we can accomplish His plan in this world.
So that's the whole. But then, for the whole world, He just stuck to 12 people. The task was pretty big.
Right.
How do you, if you were in that position or I were in that position, we'll have a global plan. But looks like He had a global plan with a limited number of people. How do you just see the whole?
I think it's so beautiful that Jesus, yes, He came to He said, for God so loves the whole world,
Right,
that He gave His only begotten Son,
right,
that whosoever should believe in Him should not perish but should have everlasting life. So He wants to reach the whole world, but He wanted to train just 12 people and impart to them his teachings, his own life, equipped them, and by making these 12 strong, he now expected them not only to go and tell others about Jesus Christ, but in turn train others. So this is what's been going on the last 2,000 years, and that's how you see the plan of Jesus being extremely successful. Today you can go any part of the world and the gospel of Jesus Christ is preached. Even in nations where there are stringent laws, you cannot preach Christ, there are millions of Christians. How did it happen? Because one person teaches and trains others. That's why one of the things Jesus said was, go into all the world and make disciples. Not converts, make disciples. Who's a disciple? One who has now received Christ as his Lord, reads and understands what God is saying, and see in his heart he recognizes God has put a divine desire to not only read but to follow, and it's a delight. It's not a drudgery, it's not a hardship, it's not a slavery, it's really a joyful thing that happens.
Correct.
So in that context, one of the people we could look at is how he dealt with Peter.
Absolutely. We are just coming to that subject. But to me, so what you're saying is the world looks at a job description. God also has got a job description.
Right.
The world is saying, I want this criteria, and then I will select you. God is also saying, I don't care what your criteria is, just be available.
Right.
Am I right?
Yes, the heart.
Yeah, the heart.
Heart.
So
the willing heart.
Yeah.
Every one of us, this is the exciting thing, every one of us has the ability to hear God and respond to God. Why? Because God made us in his image.
Right.
We are a spirit being. We have a body to house the spirit. The spirit came inside us because God put the spirit in there. And the spirit always recognizes there is a God. And there's a desire innately in every man, put in there by God, to find the living God. So it is in that context that God reveals himself to each person in a very special way.
Right.
He did it for you, he did it for me,
Yeah.
and then we respond to the love of God.
Yeah.
And our lives are changed.
Absolutely.
And then we recognize not only is he interested in changing our lives, but he created us already with a plan. So nobody in this world could ever say, God has no plan for me.
So for everyone there's a purpose.
Everyone, there's a plan and a purpose.
So a plan and a purpose. We're going to take a short break, but before the break, we're going to talk about calling. So what is calling? How do you qualify for this calling? What's the process? What is not the world process, but what is God's process?
Yes.
So let's go to this word called calling. Friends, after this break, we're going to talk about this word calling. We're also going to talk about a very unique character of the 12 disciples, whose name is Peter, and Jesus had a special love for him. Let's find out what was the special love. How did he equip Peter? But more than that, let's understand the word calling. That's coming right after this short break.